Am I the asshole for not switching places with my friend and ruining her life? This happened a couple weeks ago but I'm still getting shit about it. A friend of mine, Dia, fake name, asked me if I wanted to come with her on some errands and see her new car. I said yes because I had some things to get done and my car was being checked over. We're in the same bubble and stayed masked the whole time. Well, while we were out, Dia ended up hitting another car while turning left. We were both shaken but mostly fine yet, but when I started to call the police, Dia started freaking out even more. She started begging me not to call the cops and to just go talk to the other driver. I didn't feel comfortable not calling them, so I went ahead and did. Then Dia started begging me to get in the driver's seat, saying I had to get in the driver's seat, I had to claim I was the one driving. Turns out Dia doesn't have a license. She wanted a car but didn't feel like getting her license, so her mom bought the car for her. I didn't feel comfortable lying to the police, so I continued to refuse and just got out of the car and waited on the sidewalk for them to get there. Well, Dia got arrested for driving without a license, insurance, or registration for her car and just told me today she has been found at fault for the accident. Now Dia, her mom, and half of our friends are saying I'm an asshole for not just switching places. She is now facing multiple fines, possible jail time, and being kicked out of our MA program because of all this. I tried to explain that I didn't feel comfortable lying to the police, but she just keeps calling me a privileged bitch, and wishing horrible things would happen to me. So am I the asshole for not switching places with her? Edit. Several people have said I should include this and I'm sorry I didn't in the original post. This was much more serious than a fender bender. This was my response to someone else. She took the entire front of his car off, or at least it looked like it. We were at an intersection and she was in a left turn lane with a yellow light and didn't look before she went. The other gentleman was coming the opposite way going straight. Both cars are totaled. The gentleman was not unconscious as I originally thought, but he did hit his head on the steering wheel and he had to be taken to the hospital. He did eventually get out of his car with help, and that's when I believe I should have talked to him. Dia and I were mostly alright with just some bumps and bruises. Edit 2. Someone suggested I add this because of people saying I am the asshole for calling the police, but for major accidents such as this one where I live you are required by law to call the police and file a report. Not the asshole. You could get into financial, legal trouble, insurance fraud, for lying. You did the right thing. She's mad because she brought all this on herself. No. Don't drive without a license. She wasn't even doing something heroic. She was running errands. If Dia is this mean to you, she's not a good friend. This isn't a white lie. This is literally not having a license or insurance, doing some dumb show-off car run, being in an MA program and getting her mom and friends to gang up on you. Find better friends. Edit. 4,000 upvotes. Y'all jokers must be crazy. Suicide Squad 2016. Not the asshole. She ruined her own life. She and her mom chose to be irresponsible. Not only did they do something illegal but then asked you to do something illegal. Block her on all platforms. If she continues to harass you because she's an idiot that did idiotic things, tell her you'll inform the police that you are being harassed. Now Dia, her mom, and half of our friends are saying I'm an asshole for not just switching places. You don't need any of those people in your life. Not the asshole, and I'm sad that for one moment you even considered you were one. Am I the asshole for not volunteering to commit several crimes for a friend and her mother who were breaking the law? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If you had lied and it came to light at any point, you would be charged for a lot of things and would get in trouble financially and legally. Also, it's not about privilege, since apparently your friend could afford a license, she just didn't feel like it. Well, maybe if she had, she wouldn't have hit the other car because she would have learned how to drive with a proper instructor. Looks like it's the consequences of her own actions. She should have thought of all that before doing something both illegal and extremely dangerous. There's a reason people learn how to drive. It's not as easy as it looks on the outside. Not the asshole. Well, Dia got arrested for driving without a license, insurance, or registration for her car and just told me today she has been found at fault for the accident. She did this herself. Not the asshole. You didn't ruin her life. Dia ruined her own life. Period. The bad news here is that you have lost Dia as a friend, though I'm not sure you would want a friend like that. Not the asshole. This is not even a question. Because she had no insurance. If you had pretended to be the driver, you would have legally been totally on the hook for 2 totaled cars. Plus liable for the accident if there were any fines. Plus totally liable if the other driver were to decide to sue. Plus since Daya was found to be at fault, you would have lost all of these cases in the bat of an eye. No question about that. Daya is crying that you ruined her life. No, she ruined her life, and is complaining that you are an asshole because she didn't get to swap and ruin your life instead. You are not an asshole. And she is not a friend. Case closed. Okay, seriously, what the fuck are the mods of this subreddit even doing? This is such an obvious not the asshole. Like, not the asshole, but is it normal for some people to call the cops for a fender bender? ETA. I see in other comments from OP that the accident was more serious than a fender bender. I think OP should edit the post to include that info, because it wasn't clear. Not the asshole, and seeing your update, she's lucky she didn't get you killed. Imagine if she had turned a bit sooner and he nailed the passenger side with you in it? She brought this on herself, and if you hadn't called the cops, someone else would have. Were there witnesses? Someone could have witnessed if you had swapped spots. The people telling you you're in a hole are idiots and a-holes themselves. Jesus. I was gonna say ESH for not listening to her and not getting the police involved, but because it was way more than a fender bender and she was driving without a license, it's gotta be not the asshole. Not the asshole. No friend would ask you to take the blame. Her mother and friends don't get a vote, block them all. You would have been opening yourself up to many charges if you lied to the police, and your future would have been destroyed instead of hers. She's no friend to you. I'm quite sure the other driver would have noticed who was driving and you would have been caught right away. Daya's mother is a fool for getting her a car knowing she didn't have a license or insurance. These are not good people. Not the asshole. She gets a car just bought for her because she wants it, but you're the privileged one. She's facing consequences, likely for the first time in her life by the sounds of it. She knew exactly how reckless what she was doing was. Block her number and the number of anyone he decides that what she did was okay. Not the asshole. Do you really need to ask this? If so, then you are in a veritable forest of asshole all farting at you. Ignore them. You are right, they are wrong. And it's not just about you. Insurance fraud isn't victimless. The rest of us end up paying for it in higher premiums. I don't understand how having a driver's license is a privilege. Was there something stopping her from getting a license? It's not that hard expensive last time I checked. I would say having a car, or getting a new one, is expensive. If she's privileged enough to own a car, she can get a license too. Not the asshole. She shouldn't be driving without a license. If she hit and killed someone, she'd be facing much harsher consequences. And if you had switched and the witness told the police, that you'd both be facing criminal charges. Not the asshole. She had the nerve to call you privileged when she whined so much her mom bought her unlicensed teen daughter her own car. Stop calling her your friend, because she clearly is not. Not the asshole. Daya shouldn't have been on the road in the first place. There is likely a pretty good reason she doesn't have a license, insurance, or registration, and it's likely the same reason she was found at fault in the latest accident. It's not your fault or your problem that she felt comfortable just flagrantly breaking the law. Not the asshole. She sounds toxic. You did an honorable thing. She messed up by not getting the bare minimum for being able to drive. This was bound to happen. Was she expecting to just drive around all year without a license? She is responsible for the consequences, and she, and her mother, should know better. They can be mad, but at the end of the day, you were truthful to yourself, the police, and everyone involved. Not the asshole. I guess it's the guilt that's making you think you're tough. But you're not. It's Daya's fault for driving without a license and thinking nothing would happen. Not the asshole. You could have gotten in worse trouble if you covered for her and the cops found out. It's weird though. My mom moved down south, doesn't have a license, multiple DUIs, thought most of them from 20+ years ago, and got in a couple fender benders in a car that is legally owned by me, and the police were just like, go home. Don't do this again. Have a nice day. Not the asshole. So, if she murdered someone and there were 20 witnesses and yourself, whilst covered in blood, she wants to point the finger at you and say you did and expects you to say yes to that. She's lucky she didn't put you or the other driver in worse conditions. She doesn't care about breaking the law, she cared more about being caught. And she definitely wouldn't have bailed you out in any way had you been dumb enough to say yes to taking the blame. Not the asshole. She doesn't have a driver's license, this is on her. Not the asshole. This person is not your friend. Good lord. Not the asshole. It never ceases to amaze me the narcissism of friends who think you owe them everything. Daya asked for your life to be ruined in lieu of hers after she broke the law and endangered both you. You did everything as you should have. Don't let anyone tell you that you are in the wrong. She didn't feel like getting her license. She could have killed you all. Not the asshole, and she needs to be held accountable for her own choices. Not the asshole, you didn't know she was driving without a license or the fact she didn't have her vehicle registration in order. I don't see how you are in fault in any way, as well as who buys their kid a car without letting them get their driver's license properly. I mean, not the asshole. Your friend was doing something illegal and got caught. Info: why doesn't she have a license? Not the asshole. She's the asshole for not telling you she didn't have a license and putting you in serious danger. Not the asshole. You're not the one who was driving. Oh, you are so not the asshole. Always call the cops. Hope you're okay physically and mentally. Being involved in an accident can be physically and mentally stressful. Only a small suggestion, but I would stop speaking to this person and cut contact if you can. If this goes to court, it could get complicated if you're still in contact. You're not in trouble for anything from what I can tell here, but it might be easier for everyone if you're not in contact with each other. It will also reduce your stress to not have Daya and her family contacting you all the time. You did the right thing, although it was difficult, you protected yourself. Not the asshole. She wanted you to ruin your life by switching places and taking the blame for an accident she caused. None of her choices leading up to that point or even the accident were your fault, much less the ensuing consequences. Not the asshole, you could get in serious trouble if found out you were lying on her behalf, and why should your insurance premium go up because of an accident she caused? This is not your fault, and she isn't a good friend if she's wishing bad things on you. Not the asshole. How in hell can anyone think you're an asshole in all of this? You refused to break the law, thereby putting yourself and her in more legal trouble. Not a good friend at all. Not the asshole. She isn't your friend. She's entitled, and she's calling you privileged, and she needs to learn responsibility. But it's not your responsibility to teach her that lesson. Run away. Not the asshole at all. What the fuck was she thinking driving without insurance and registration, let alone a license? What the fuck was her mom thinking buying her a car when she didn't have a fucking license? Why the fuck is she a grown-ass adult without a driver's license? I'm frightened for you. You had a friend that tried to defame you for a serious accident, and pressured you to lie to police, a crime. You need to stay far, far away from this person. What was she planning to do if she ever got pulled over just for a ticket? Significant other, not the asshole, op. She was going to leave you on the hook for driving an unregistered car that was in an injury accident without telling you. She is not your friend. At first I thought it was an everyone sucks here for calling the cops, but then I saw your edit about how severe it was. Someone was gonna call the cops. After that. Not the asshole 10,000%. Your friend is insisting that you take the fall for her shit driving, because she didn't feel like getting her license, and her mom just bought it for her. And you are the privileged one? Dump this user and her enablers. Not the asshole. Daya put herself in this position by not getting her license. Had you lied and the truth come out later, she'd not only be in the same trouble she's in now, but both of you could be persecuted for lying on a police report and could have hefty fines and in some cases, jail time. She and everyone giving you a hard time is a giant asshole for putting you in this position. You could sue Daya's mom for this. You're a victim in this as much as the other driver. If anything happened to you medically, you'd be screwed because she has no insurance. Horrible what happened. You certainly didn't have to go to talk it out with the other driver, she could have done that. Her mom is fucked. They're gonna get sued for the damages. That's all on her, Daya. Get away from them if you can. Any other friend who blames you for this and go and pay Daya's court fees. Doesn't complete the necessary steps to own a vehicle. Your friend when she is given the consequences for her actions, 0. She had it coming. Why the fuck someone buy a car for someone that doesn't have a license and expect no problem from it? And why she didn't took a license? Sounds stupid AF. Something similar happened to me, but I was Daya. I got in a wreck while driving on a suspended license. I was injured and utterly hysterical and asked my passenger to say she was driving. So she's maybe not an asshole for asking something while panicked. After I got some morphine and my mind came back, I of course felt like a piece of shit for asking that of my friend. She's a peach though and forgave me. So she is 100% the asshole for not coming to her senses.